Boop. Boop. Alright. So, as we get started today, I'll be honest, one of the things we're going to talk about in a little bit is McDonald, because I had McDonald's today. And oh my god, I am so full. It's funny because I'm a fat guy, so you think like, oh yeah, he eats a bunch. I don't really. I actually have a pretty slow metabolism. And so I'm just like, oh my god, I'm so out of it right now. I'm so full. And then I just drank, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'll just get some water to wash it down. And the water did not help. And I was like, oh yeah, let's get the stream started. Oh, first I need to pee. Yeah, that took a minute. I'm so, ugh. I considered, like, for a moment, I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do this tonight. But we got stuff to talk about. We actually do have a fair few things. News, more in the news stuff. Like, normally this is dead season until, the Game Awards next week. No, we actually have a bunch of shit to talk about. I mean, okay, nothing's like major, most important thing in the world. I mean, the last one kind of is, but it's not really a gaming thing. Even though there are implications. And yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm just so ill. The other thing I should say. So if you don't know, I don't know if I've talked about this. I operate off of only a single monitor. Or at least I did. I was primarily like a one monitor guy, but I actually bought a second monitor like last week. And it came in, I set it up. So for the first time, I used to be a 2-monitor guy. I believe in, definitely 2-monitor, 3-monitor superiority. That's the best way to go. But I haven't had, 2 or 3 monitors in a while. I mean, I kind of had 2, but it doesn't really count. But so now I have 2 monitors. But because of that, like, my whole, like, setup is different now. And my microphone is now less adjustable than it used to be. Like, yes, it always went over the monitor. But the monitors used to be, like, lower to the ground. I bought a monitor stand. So now the monitors are, like, hanging on a stand. And that's just different. That's a little different, a little weird. And so, yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I hate how I sound. I don't know if it's just, I have bad audio. Like, my big thing is always my audio design. I feel like my audio design is fucking awful. And I know part of that is people hate the sounds of their own voice. And I completely get it. But also, I listen to myself, and then I listen to other people, and I'm just like, why does my audio sound so shit? Is it just that I hate my voice that much? That it sounds like garbage, just in general? And I'll be honest, I have no fucking idea. I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't. But, yeah. So we've got 4 news stories to talk about today, as well as we got 4 things for WIBE, 2 food, 2 movies. Not really, like, no game stuff, nothing like that. But yeah, we'll probably go for, we're playing Galaxy 2, we're hopefully doing the next 2 World's Green Stars. We'll probably go for like 2 hours. Hopefully. So let me boot up Galaxy. Right there. Hit that. And there we go. Yeah, here we are. So where we left off, we'd done the first 2 worlds, I think, last time. Yeah, we did the first 2 worlds. Our lives are now reset back to 4. I don't know why this game does that. I don't know why Galaxy just resets your lives. Oh, but you can get a letter from Princess Peach that gives you 5. What a waste. What a waste. Maybe I should just, like, keep the game turned on. I've definitely thought about it. Alright, so here we are in World 3. Now, I think from here on out, I've not done any of these green stars. Like, I know we've done green stars in the first 2 worlds. Before I have done that before. I don't think I've done green stars in this world. I think that all of these are going to be entirely new. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Alright, so for gaming news, we have 4 stories. There was a, Bloomberg puts out their reports, and they put out a report on Yacht Club games. Developers of Shovel Knight, Mina the Hollower, and so we're going to talk about that. We got Pokemon. Pokemon revealed the last Mega Evolution before the DLC comes out. That does not mean it's the only Mega Evolution not revealed. Like, obviously, there are still going to be more. This is just the last one they're revealing, because the DLC comes out on the 10th. So I think that's, what, Wednesday? So obviously we'll have more stuff to talk about then. But for the moment, this is what we've got. Mario Kart World got an update, and I did actually play some Mario Kart World, but I'll probably talk about that during the Mario Kart World update segment. So just know I did play some Mario Kart World, but I'll probably not talk about it during WIBE, just because it's not too important. I didn't play much of it. At most, I put like an hour into it. Very inconsequential. I put more time into Balacho your average week. And finally, I want to talk about Netflix, because Netflix announced late last night, early this morning, that they were buying Warner Brothers. That is very interesting and has a lot of not so good monopolistic implications. So we're going to talk about that. And yeah, I think that's basically it. I can't think of anything else. I'm sure there is stuff. But those are the big 4 stories I want to talk about. You know, like, the water should make me feel better, and it doesn't. So let's talk about this. So let's start with this report from Bloomberg. So this comes from Bloomberg and Jason Schreier, and it's a news article titled, "Creator of hit game Shovel Knight is at a make or break moment." Now, I do recommend you read this article. I will put the whole thing in the description below when this eventually makes it onto, the other site, when it's not live. But I do also, primarily for this stream, we will be quoting Nintendo Everything's version of this article. So we're specifically going to talk about Nintendo Everything's write-up, because they did a write-up on it that kind of summarizes the main points. And I feel like that's the easier way to look at this. But I did also read the article. I recommend you read the article as well. It's Jason Schreier. They always do a fantastic job. Like, what else is new? So, of course, I do recommend that. And I'll put the Nintendo Everything one as well. So, Shovel Knight was made by a studio called Yacht Club Games, for those who don't know. And a few years ago, back in... 2022, 2021, they kickstarted their next game, Mina the Hollower. Because while, yes, they had teamed up with other studios like Nitrum to make other Shovel Knight games, for the most part, right, their next major project they did through Kickstarter. And I, of course, supported the Kickstarter at the time because, you know, I like Shovel Knight. I really like Shovel Knight. But at the time, I remember people finding it kind of weird. They're like, oh, you know, yes, a lot of developers kickstart their games. And Shovel Knight was kickstarted. But it was actually kind of surprising that their second game, second major one, was also kickstarted. Like, at the time, people found that kind of weird. Like, isn't that what all the money from Shovel Knight's supposed to go to? Now, to be fair, when it came to Shovel Knight's DLCs, they basically made 3 brand new games. At least 2.5. And gave them away for free. Eventually they did get smart and, you know, they started charging more money for Shovel Knight just, you know, to try to recoup their costs. So I get it. Some of the money definitely went towards that. And that was kind of the rationale at the time. Like, yeah, you know, they gave us basically 4 free games. Yeah, that makes sense. That they, you know, maybe need a little cash injection. You know, they're probably not going to make the same mistake a second time. Or at least charge more the first time. I don't know. Shovel Knight is such a good game that I have bought it at least 4 times. I bought it on Switch. I had it on, I think my code was on Wii U. I got my original, the Kickstarter was on Wii U. Then I later on bought it on 3DS. I selected the wrong thing there, don't worry about it. Later on, right, the code, I bought it on 3DS, so that's 2. Then I bought it on Switch when the Switch came out. I bought it on PlayStation when it came to PlayStation and they did, they added God of War. And then, I can't remember if I bought it on Xbox or if I just bought it on Steam. I know I probably just owned it on Steam when they did the Battletoads thing. Because we actually streamed the battle. I never streamed the PlayStation one where you fight Kratos. I definitely did stream the Battletoads one. You can find a video somewheres on the podcast channel from probably like 5 years ago of me doing the Battletoads Shovel Knight thing. So I've bought Shovel Knight multiple times. It's honestly a very easy recommendation in my mind. So let's get to the actual article. So again, this is from Bloomberg, but I'm quoting Nintendo everything for a lot of this. It's that the company is facing an existential struggle. Basically, they've churned through most of their capital, their money, and now they're being forced to downsize and put a second project on hold so everyone can focus on Mina the Hollower. Employees are burnt out, and the game's delays are farther impacting finances. I just sneezed a bunch. So now, all this didn't just immediately happen. Some of this has been happening for a while now. Them putting their second game on hold, you know, while they're doing some downsizing, some of that happened earlier in the past few years, and we'll talk about it. But the whole employee burnout thing is definitely more recent. You know, because originally the game was supposed to come out on Halloween. That was their original set release date. And then about a month beforehand, not even, less than that, early October, they delayed the game indefinitely. To the point that we don't even have a new release date. Here we are in December, and we've got nothing. So it continues, Mina the Hollower is make or break for sure, he said. If we sold 50,000 copies, if we sold 500,000, if we sold 500,000 copies, then we would be golden. If we sold 200,000, then we'd be really, really great. If we sold like 100,000, that's not so good. So my immediate first thought upon reading that quote is, yeah, how much of a financial situation they're in. But also, this was a Kickstarter game. I know they raised a few million on Kickstarter. At least I think they raised $1 million on Kickstarter. But even still, that's a bunch of people who are going to be getting the game just off that. But I know the original Shovel Knight also did really well. Word of mouth is a big thing. So I hope this game, this Kickstarter aside, still does very well. You know, I like Yacht Club games' work. This is make or break for them. I do hope they succeed. Sure, I played the Mina the Hollower demo. I had my issues. There's something that hopefully I won't have in the full game. That just because this was like a 30-minute demo, obviously I needed to learn the controls and whatnot. Because to be fair, when I played Shovel Knight, I had similar issues. That, on my first playthrough I really struggled with, but by the second playthrough, when I actually sat down and played it on 3DS, I had a lot better time. I don't know, we'll just have to wait and see, obviously. So they continue. The studio has been working on a 3D Shovel Knight, which it still hopes to release at some point. So that second project I mentioned earlier was a 3D Shovel Knight. They were probably working on like Shovel Knight 64, or I remember years ago there was a joke about like doing like Shovel Knight Kart. I don't think that's what this was, but it was probably something along the, it was like Shovel Knight 64, or like they were doing like Donkey Kong 64, but with Shovel Knight. Oh my gosh, there was a thing today in the game Dreams, the Sony game, someone made a new Banjo-Kazooie, and like Rare themselves came out and were like, oh my gosh, this looks amazing. Yeah, I haven't checked it out, obviously. I don't even know if I have Dreams. Or at least I know I own the game. I just don't think I have it downloaded. But that's really neat that exists. But yeah, I guess they were working on a 3D Shovel Knight. And then so back in 2020, the company split into 2 teams. And they hired some more employees. The first game they were working on was a 3D Shovel Knight, which was led by Valesco. And then the other founders. And then the second game was Mina the Hollower, which they expected to be a smaller game that would take less development time. Because this happens all the time. Developers set out to make a smaller game, and then it just grows in scope, and it keeps growing and growing, until it eventually balloons. So yeah, so at a certain point, they realized that the 2-team structure wasn't working, and Yacht Club actually laid off some of their employees in 2024 to cut expenses, and then development on the new Shovel Knight game was paused to specifically focus on Mina the Hollower. So they did not say that, like, oh, this new Shovel is, like, canceled. They specifically say it's put on pause. So it could come back at any point in the future, but for the moment, Mina the Hollower is obviously the priority. Oh, fuck. What was I gonna... But yeah, another problem is that they were hit hard by COVID. That was another thing that really hurt them as a studio, is that COVID really affected them and slowed things down. And then they go on to talk about in the article that the game was only actually fully put together a few weeks before their intended launch. Like, yeah, they had all the different pieces of the game, but the game itself wasn't actually in one pile until, like, I'm talking like the past, like, 2 months, if not less. And so once they put everything together, they realized, like, oh, there's still a bunch of issues we gotta work out. And that's why they delayed the game. because they had all, you know, the game came together, and they're, you know, for the first time compiling everything, they needed to work out all the kinks, and they couldn't do that in a month. So that's why they did it, and that makes sense. Ooh. Oh my gosh, I did not mean to do that. No worries, it happens. Am I taller now? I will be banished now. Yeah, I feel like I'm... I don't know, maybe I am taller. Maybe I need to move Chet up a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, this whole thing on Mina the Hollower, I want this game to succeed. I want to like this game. In the past year or so, I've come out as a big-time Link's Awakening enjoyer. Like, I wasn't always a huge fan of Link's Awakening, but thanks to, like, the Switch remake, I love Link's Awakening. It might be my favorite Zelda game. Just straight up. It's at least top, like, 3. I mean, I've read the book. It looks good. It's a fine book. So, I want this game to, you know, succeed. I like Link's Awakening. The demo was okay. It's one of those things where I want to play the full thing. I really do feel like I gotta play the full Mina the Hollower to get it. As a demo is, you know, it can only do so much. But now, they do not have a new release date. Like, in this article, they say they don't have a release date yet. I've heard some people say that it could be this year. That based on some of the things they've said, based on, you know, people have, at least in parts, play the game. There was speculation that review codes have already been sent out, which I don't think is true. I don't think review codes have been sent out yet. I don't know. It was interesting that new Marvel game came out this week. Marvel, not Strike Force. Cosmic Invasion. Yeah, Cosmic Invasion came out. And I guess review codes for Marvel Cosmic Invasion came out, like, they got sent out to reviewers a month ago. People had a review code for that game in, like, early November, which is kind of crazy to think about, but it gave people a lot of time to play it. Not everybody loved it as much as I would have hoped, but I've heard it's good. I do definitely want to check it out at some point. Because even though I'm not a big beat-em-up fan, Marvel Cosmic Invasion just looks good. I'll get around to it at some point. But no, I do want these developers to succeed. Another developer that struggled recently, the people who are doing is it Unbeatable or Unbroken? Ah, crap, I can't remember. It's something. Give me a second. I'm looking it up. If I can. Because I think that Unbeatable, Unbroken, whatever it's called, comes out, like, within the next, like, week. Oh, you know what has its demo right now? Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. That beta starts, I think, today. I think it already started. I did get into the beta again. Because I played the original beta. It's got to be called Unbreakable. No, maybe it is oops, I spelled that wrong. Maybe it is Unbeatable. Because, you know, beat, like, rhythm. Yeah, it is Unbeatable. And it comes out on the 9th. Okay. But that was another game that, like, literally, like, 24 hours before its release date. Maybe, like, 3 days. Definitely really close to its release date. It got delayed as well. So, like, some of these indie games are having problems, and I really hope they're resolved. Like, I want nothing to fail. I want all these games to succeed, because there are a lot of great games in here. And I hope everything works out with Unbeatable. I hope everything works out with Mina the Hollower. If we get something at the Game Awards, that would be cool. But if nothing happens, so well. Guess what? There's always room for horror stuff in January. Like, yeah, the October release date was a great release date. But guess what? There's always horror movies in January. There always has been. Because, I don't know, people like horror movies in January. Or studios just put out all their bad horror movies in January. Maybe a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Like, I'm kind of surprised the FNAF movie came out this month instead of next month, because that's a bad enough movie that it definitely would fit right alongside all the other January horror slop. It definitely would. But yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff that I left out of the article, obviously. I recommend you go read the full thing. It is very interesting. But yeah, those are the highlights I want to hit at today. Oh my gosh, I'm still dying. So our next thing is Mega Lucario. So Pokemon, you know, every other week they've been revealing a new Mega Pokemon. This week was their final one, because the DLC comes out next week. So this was obviously their final one. And the final one, which I feel like people had predicted this, maybe this got leaked. I don't know. Before Legends ZA came out, all the new Megas got leaked. Like, that was something that had happened. But for the DLC, I hadn't seen anything until, like, the day before this reveal, in which I saw somebody call Mega Lucario Z. Because, like, obviously, you know, Mega Charizard Z is just too tempting to the Pokemon Company. I've also heard, like, talks that there's going to be an Absol Z. We'll get to it. But yeah, we got Mega Lucario Z. Its design, it very much gives that, like, Anubis feel. You know, because Lucario, in some way, shape, and form, takes influence from, you know, an Anubis-style creature. And I actually like that. I think it's a decent design. And this one definitely, I feel like, maybe it's just because of the color palette change. I definitely feel like it leans into it a little bit more. So we got, yeah, Mega Lucario. It's got like Hatsune Miku ponytails, or twin tails, I guess. I don't love the design as much as some other people do. I saw some other people, Danny Mata, who loved this design. And I was like, oh yeah, this is one of the best Mega Evolutions ever. I think it's fine. Like, yeah, it's a good design, I guess. I wouldn't say it's anything like the most amazing, spectacular thing ever. But, yeah, it's good. I like normal Mega Lucario. I think normal Mega Lucario is a good design, because it takes what's there and gives us a little bit more. I know some people want, like, drastic Mega Evolution designs. I actually think just taking a Pokemon and taking their most, like, dominant trait and just giving us a little bit more is a good design choice. Sure, they don't always work, or it's not always their most dominant trait. Sometimes it's like a secondary trait. Yes, I guarantee you could, but you shouldn't. Hey, look, that one was easy. So, yeah, I like the design, but I don't love it. Because, yeah, sometimes, you know, you take a trait and you exaggerate it. I don't know, economic dishonesty or something. That's what always worries me. You know, if I ever go back to, like, get a master's degree or, like, a PhD or something, I always worry that, like, oh, you know, nowadays everybody just cheats. And I'm a decent writer. Am I just gonna be accused of academic dishonesty and using ChatGPT just because I know how to actually write and I know how to use an em dash in a sentence? Because I've heard those horror stories. I already know how we're going to get that star, and that star is going to suck. Yeah. Okay, so my example of taking a facet of a Pokemon and just exaggerating it a little bit more that doesn't work is Salamence. Salamence is like, okay, it's got these little red wings. What if we just make them bigger and more eccentric? Which gives us, you know, the Blood Moon Beast, which seems like it should be cool, but in practice, it just doesn't work. Like, I don't know, Mega Salamence just doesn't work. Roaring Moon is the same concept, but it works really well. Yes, had terrible grammar. Yes, that is the correct way to use that word. I legitimately can't tell if you did that intentionally or not. Nope, that's what we're gonna have to do. Yeah. Oh, I could. I would say you're a pot calling a kettle black, but that would be mean. Okay, that one actually wasn't that bad. The flip switch one was way worse. But no, so the new thing with this new Mega Lucario, and that actually, as part of this change for Pokemon, what does that mean? You literally made a comment about how everyone else has bad grammar, and then you made a grammar faux pas. You're calling out other people, but you made the mistake as well. Sure, it was more of a spelling thing, but still. That's pot calling the kettle black. Is you're calling out other people for something you also made a mistake on. Doesn't always have to be a mistake, but it's a metaphor. Yeah. So the new Mega Evolution Z. I guess this new Mega Evolution Z is not just a new Mega Evolution form, but a new type of Mega Evolution. So, Z-type Mega Evolution, to quote from Cerebi, will have shorter charge times for moves. But in exchange, it goes through the Mega Gauge quicker. So, like we see in the trailer, both Lucario, Mega Lucario, and Mega Lucario Z both fire off the same move, but Mega Lucario Z's is faster. Now, of course, normally I would say that's just because it has a better speed stat, but it literally does sound like, no, it is fast. These new Mega Z forms are just faster. So that seems like it's going to be the gimmick of Mega. They're taking a thing that is already a gimmick, Mega Evolution, and giving it another gimmick. That being Z forms that are, you know, faster. And yeah, I guarantee we're going to have Mega Absol Z. I would not at all be surprised if we get Mega Charizard Z. Yeah. Again, leaks may or may not have happened, but none of that would surprise me. And then the other thing they did, so a few weeks ago when they did the whole Mega Dimensions reveal, the Pokemon Company ran a Diancie event that I think is still running as far as I'm aware, where you can get a Diancie mystery gift that unlocks like a whole side quest that gets you a Diancie. Well, with this trailer's announcement, they added another new side quest to the game that allows you to get a Mewtwo and the Mewtwo Mega Stones. So yeah, you can go in, claim the mystery gift Mewtwo Stones, and then it unlocks a side quest that'll get you Mewtwo. So if you want Mewtwo, well, here's your chance to get it. Mega Mewtwo is, it's fine, I guess. I like one of them, but I don't like the other one. I like the Mega Mewtwo that, like, is more like Mew inspired, and not the one that's more like physical. I think the physical Mewtwo is kind of ugly. I don't remember. I want to say X is the bad one and Y is the good one, which is, I think, the opposite of the Charizards, where the X one is good and the Y one. The Y one's fine, I guess. But yeah, so that's an event going on that I think you can just do right now. If you boot up the game, you can do it right now. And then the DLC comes out in like 5 days. It comes out on the 10th, so that's right around the corner. And of course, I will be playing it. I'm sure we'll talk about it next week. Because spoiler alert, I'm basically out of movies. At least the type of movies we'll talk about on this show. Like, the only one we have left is Avatar, which comes out in like 2 weeks. And outside of that, nah, we're basically done with movies. Basically. Because, like, this isn't the type of show where we talk about stuff like Marty Supreme or... insert second thing. Yeah, the end of the year is usually kind of after Christmas and I'm talking about like stuff in theaters. The period after Christmas until like usually like Valentine's Day tends to be a dead period for movies where, yeah, you get a few things, you know, you get a few shitty horror movies. You usually get something on Christmas. But, like, for the type of, you know, fandom stuff we talk about on this show, there really isn't going to be anything. I guess there's that Jack Black Anaconda movie that, I mean, it's got Jack Black, it's got Paul Rudd. I like both those actors. Maybe I'll go see it. But, like, when it comes to the popular stuff, the fandom stuff, I should say, the last one is really Avatar. And Avatar doesn't even have a fandom. Avatar is just a movie you go see. And then you kind of immediately forget about. It's got no fandom. It's got no cultural impact. What? I hope it's good. I hope Anaconda is good, but I don't know. Anything's possible. I saw someone make a good comparison for Avatar. What was it? It was like Avatar is... was it like a theater performance? I don't know. It was something like, oh yeah, you know, it's meant to be seen in theaters in the moment. And, you know, Avatar is not designed in a way to do fandom. Like, that's not Avatar's purpose. Even though it's popular enough to be a fandom thing. I don't know. This year has been weird because I've actually seen Avatar fan art this year. One of the artists I follow on Twitter, for some reason, just started doing Avatar fan art. Just out of nowheres. And, I mean, that's the first time I've ever seen that. But that's still 2 weeks away. Alright, next up we gotta talk about Mario Kart. So, Mario Kart World got its first big... not its first big major update. Technically, this is like its third or fourth. But this is the first update that I actually want to talk about. Will I be watching the Streamer Awards? No. I will not be watching the Streamer Awards, and I will not also be watching the Game Awards next week. I know last year we streamed the Game Awards, and I actually had a really good time streaming the Game Awards last year, but this year something came up. I won't. I don't watch the Streamer Awards. I don't really watch award shows. That's the thing, they're just not my style. Like, I used to watch the Oscars. I haven't watched the Oscars in like 6 years. Well, hopefully they're good. I mean, as much shit as Cutie's getting right now, I do, at the end of the day, still support her. I hope her things are successful. Do you watch streamers? Based on the fact that I did not know who that peanut guy was, I guess not. Because I had never heard of that peanut guy. And then, like, the day he got nominated for the awards, all of a sudden he was everywheres. Bog streamers, yeah, no. The only other person I know The only person who I actually know is like up for a nomination, but yeah, more or less, is I want to say Chibi is up for one, which I do hope. You know, I've got a lot of hope in Chibi because she's actually like one of the few that I do find funny. So like if she wins something, that's cool. I want to say, is Queso nominated for anything? Queso is also pretty decent. I don't watch his stuff that much, but I've been following that one person who's been doing Queso, like making the life-size Queso plush, Crochet Ginger, and that's been super entertaining to watch. Yeah. But I just see that stuff on TikTok. Okay, let's talk about Mario Kart. So Mario Kart's big new update, they added a bunch of new features. They made some actual good changes. For the first time since like probably August, I actually booted up Mario Kart. Because I have not touched that game in forever. Because I said this last week. I was planning on putting 100 hours into Mario Kart. It was gonna be the game we sat down and streamed every week. And while it is no way... don't worry about it. While it is Mario Kart is a good game. I enjoy it. It's some, the most refined gameplay in the Mario Kart franchise. The evolution on the mechanics and the movement is all really good and really interesting. It just did not interest me enough to put 100,000 hours into. Like Mario Kart 8. I've put a few hundred hours into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And I didn't pick up Mario Kart 8 Deluxe until like 2021. I didn't pick up that game until way late, right before the DLC got announced. And yet Mario Kart World just hasn't been doing it for me. At least not like Kirby has. Kirby I've put a bunch of time into. Kirby is fantastic. Like by the end of this month, I will have put more time into Kirby than Mario Kart. Kirby's hitting. And Mario Kart just didn't. And I wanted it to. And I don't know entirely what it is. It's definitely a number of different things. And I would in no way say it's a bad game. Like, it's probably will make my Game of the Year list in like 2 weeks. Okay, 3 weeks. But even still, I just wanted more. And I'm kind of sad I didn't get it. But I booted up this new update. So they made a bunch of changes. I'll go through the list. The first one, they added custom items. For some weird reason, even though Mario Kart 8 has had custom items for like 4 years, in Mario Kart World, the game didn't launch with custom items. And I don't know... It's one of those... It's kind of like 200cc, where it just feels like such an oversight. I'm surprised they didn't do it. But no, they finally added custom items. And the big thing about this is, besides for doing all the, the bullshit, the blue shells only, the fucking bombs only, boomerangs only, all that bullshit, it now allows us to do Kamek only. Which, if you don't know, to unlock new characters in Mario Kart World, there are 2 types. There are costumes, and there are NPCs. To unlock costumes, you just have to eat food. Different locations give different costumes. It's easy enough to do. It just takes some time. Meanwhile, to unlock NPC characters, you have to have the Kamek item used on you on certain maps, driving down certain roads. And the Kamek item is actually kind of rare, so it's not easy to unlock all the characters. I myself was missing 3 characters. Because I just never, on the maps I needed it, Toad's Factory, the underground one, that's name I can't remember, and the Dry Bones Ruins. I had just never gotten them. So, like, when I saw the Kamek item, I was like, okay, this is my chance to get every character. Because I've had every Kart part since, like, June. You know, I got all the Kart parts pretty quick. Which also, this makes that easier now. If you just turn off on, like, coins, gold shells, and, like, lucky boxes, you can get up, like, the 50,000 coins needed to get every Kart part really quick. Like, it becomes stupid easy in this game. But so as part of that, I was like, okay, let me go get the last 3 characters I was missing. I was missing Bonefish, which as far as I know, Bonefish is considered like the hardest character to get because they can only be found in the Dry Ruins place and then in the Bonefish Lake right before it. So it's kind of a pain in the ass. I was missing Bonefish. I was missing Swoop the Bat, who can only be gotten like the one right before the treetop. I don't remember what it's called, like Steamworks or something like that. You can get Swoop there, and I'm sure there's other places. And then the last one I was missing was Rocky Wrench, which you can only get in either Airship Fortress or Toad's Factory. I was able to get all 3 characters in like 20 minutes just by I literally only had to do like one race on each of those 3 courses. And I got all 3 characters. So I now have all the characters in Mario Kart World, which is nice. Not that I will ever play as any of those 3, but hey, it's good to have them all, just in case anybody else does. The other thing I will say about all Kamek items, it's awful. Like, I know people say, like, oh, all blue shells is terrible, and especially with 24 players, all blue shells is terrible, but all Kamek is actually worse in my opinion, because Kamek spawns obstacles on the course, and it just turns into a shit show. You've got bullies, you've got boom booms, you've got Goombas, you've got bombs, you've got swoops, you've got wrenches. It throws so much shit at you that I'm not going to say it's like unplayable or anything, but it's bad. And like, every time the Kamek item activates, it like slows the player character down a little bit. It's like you got hit with like, not lightning. I don't know. It's like we're driving in like snow. It slows down for a second. And it kind of sucks. It's maybe the worst way to play, but honestly, it makes the courses kind of interesting. Like, there is so much shit happening with all Kameks that, you know, straight roads are just filled with so many obstacles. It is such a shit show. But, like, there's a different way to do. I kind of wish that they would add in a feature where maybe just randomly on the intermission tracks, it would, like, roll a dice. And based on that dice, it would spawn some stuff that Kamek can spawn on the train. So, like, maybe you're driving from, like, Moo Moo Meadows to Peach's Castle, and then it'll roll the dice, and it'll be like, oh yeah, this time you're driving through, it'll spawn some Boom Booms in the way. Next time, it spawns nothing. Time after that, it spawns some bullies. Like, there's a certain level of randomness that I actually think the game would benefit from, that the Kamek item actually provides, just to make things more interesting. Like, it wouldn't be a game changer or anything, because there still are definitely some straight lines, but it'd be better. So the next feature they added was, while they still do not have a jukebox, I think it is a travesty that this game does not have a jukebox in it. They did add, so that way when you're listening to music and you pause the game, up in the top right corner, it'll tell you what song is playing and which game it's from. That's nice. I still think the game desperately needs a jukebox, but that is a good change. I'm glad they made that change. Or, you know, just add the music to Nintendo Music. That would also help. and I don't know why they haven't. But no, this is a change in the right direction. I guess another complaint people had with the game was that the music wasn't loud enough. So they added a new thing where in the settings, you can actually increase the volume of the music. Now, any other game made by a sensible person would add, you want to increase the music volume? Here, have a music slider, a volume slider. You know, thinking back to a Total Biscuit, right? You always got to check for that volume slider. And no, Mario Kart doesn't. And with this new update, it's like, okay, you can now change how loud the music is. So did they add a volume slider? No, in the most Nintendo way possible. They added it in the settings where you can either have the music be normal or loud. That's it. Those are your two options. Normal or loud. There's no quiet. Like, you would think there would be like a quiet, no music. Like, if you're going to give us music settings, at least let us turn it off in theory. Nope. You get normal and loud. Fucking Nintendo, man. I'd expect nothing less. Next up, they updated room lobbies. So previously, when you'd make a room lobby, you could have a lobby, join with friends, and then you could play together. But now they've updated it, so that way when you make a lobby, you can actually choose between just playing with the people in the lobby or playing with other people online. So let's say instead of just like, oh, well, it's just 3 of us, let's just, play together with CPUs. You can instead choose to play with randoms online, but the 3 of you are together. I'm kind of surprised that wasn't already a thing. Like, I know Mario Kart 8 has a weird thing where, like, you can join an online lobby, and then your friends can join you? So, like, you'd think they'd do something similar, but no. But this is a good change. Also, with this change, they made it so that way when you're playing Knockout Tour, you can join with 2 people now. So you can have 2 people join together on Knockout Tour. Another thing that I'm kind of surprised wasn't in the game at launch, but I think it's a good thing. They made some changes to Versus Mode, where now, when you're playing Versus Mode and you pause, in the menu, it'll give you the option to either go to the next race or restart the race in single player mode. So before, like, let's say you were like doing some, I don't want to say time trial speed runs, but like, let's say you wanted to test out some shortcuts. Like you were watching like a Shortcat video and you wanted to test out some of the shortcuts he shows off. If you wanted to like go back to the first lap or do it on time trial, in time trial, you only get mushrooms. So, you had to basically go out and restart the level. Now you can just pause it and restart and it'll take you back to the first lap. That's a really nice feature. Or let's say, you're playing a course, like you're trying to unlock all the characters and you, like me, you unlock Bonefish and it's like, okay, I got Bonefish. Instead of having to finish out the race, you can just hit pause, go to next race and start working on the next character. That's really nice. They made it so that way in time trial mode, you can now use photo mode. The only time I've ever used photo mode in Mario Kart World was on accident, but I guess that's nice to have. The next change is a big one. They made changes to track layouts. Specifically, they made changes to the intermission tracks. So I'm just going to go through these rapidly and then we'll talk about it. You'll notice the commonality. Alright, well, I guess I should say these changes were made for versus races, both in normal, online, and in wireless play. So these are all for the versus mode. This isn't like the default free roam stuff. And the courses that got changed were the intermission tracks from Koopa Beach to DK Spaceport, Koopa Beach to Crown City, Koopa Beach to Peach Stadium, Whistletop Summit to Koopa Beach, Desert Hills to Koopa Beach, DK Spaceport to Koopa Beach, Crown City to Koopa Beach, Peach Stadium to Koopa Beach. You might notice the common trend there. It's all Koopa Beach. If you don't know, because you haven't played Mario Kart World or you're not in the space, the Koopa Beach intermission tracks are largely considered the worst ones, specifically because they're the water ones. So the Koopa Beach ones, you're in the water, and for the most part, you're just driving in a straight line. You enter the water is slower than normal driving, and you're just driving in a straight line. It kind of sucks. The Koopa Beach tracks kind of suck. And like the most famous one on here is Desert Hills to Koopa Beach, where you literally just drive in a straight line. There are no obstacles, there are no curves. It is literally just a straight line. Now they've gone in and they've added some curves. I'm not going to say this fully fixes all the problems with it, because, you know, these are still all water tracks, but they've definitely added some variety. Some of these tracks have splits in the path where, like, you have to choose between going left or right. They've added manta rays that always show up. I don't remember if dragon eels were added to any of them. They've added more platforms that you can now trick off of and you can ride on, so it's like driving on land. And then the most interesting one, which is, I want to say, Peach Stadium to Koopa Beach, they added vines. On none of the outside of like some shortcuts, vines don't really appear as a thing you can drive on in any of the intermission tracks. This is the first intermission track to actually use vines as like a drivable obstacle. Think of like if you played DK Spaceport, it's kind of like the rails on that map. And I actually think these are all good changes. It shows that, you know, Nintendo is kind of aware that not everybody likes straight line driving simulator. I don't think it's as bad as other people make it to be. Like, you watch some shortcut videos, shorts, and he makes it seem like it's the worst thing in the fucking world. I would not go that far. I think some of the intermission stuff can be fun. But, yeah. The other change they made for Koopa Beach is that now, whenever you're racing towards Koopa Beach, which is the shortest track in the game, you can literally clear it in like 10-20 seconds. They've now made it so that in versus races, when you're going to Koopa Beach, you now do 2 laps instead of 1. So they basically doubled the length of the Koopa Beach portion of the track. Because normally it's a 5-lap track. I still think Nintendo at some point should allow us to choose how many laps we do at the end of races. So, you know, instead of being like, oh, you know, I want to do an intermission track, and then you do like intermission, you know, Crown City to Koopa Beach, and then you only do 2 laps of Koopa Beach, let us customize it. Let us make it so that we can do the full 5 laps. Because I feel like people would have less of a problem with intermission courses if you just did all 3 laps of the course once you got there. But I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see. That feels like such an obvious change. It's definitely something Kirby Air Riders thought of, because they made that change, by the way. That is something you can do in that game. But, you know, Kirby Air Riders does what Mario Kart World don't. Oh, there it is. We're going to have to catch that on the way going up. So, other changes and fixes they did. They made it so that when you're driving on a manta ray's back, it acts as a dash pad. That's nice. I think before you could like trick off of them, but them basically just being a permanent dash pad is a good thing. That's a good change. They made it so that Dragon Eel, if a player hits a Dragon Eel, or made it so the player will not hit the Dragon Eel when turned into a Bullet Bill. I guess you could like clip, like you could get like, you know, like you can get stuck on a tree. I guess they made it so that you can't get stuck on a Dragon Eel within a Bullet Bill. That's good. Because of the new custom items thing, they made it so that a player cannot use a second boo while they are already using a boo, because by default in the game, you can't get 2 boos at the same time. Now, you can, because, you can turn on boos only. But when you do, right, it'll make sure that, you can't use 2 boos at the same time. When dash food is taken by somebody, so, when dash food's, like, stolen by a boo or something, it'll shorten the time for that dash food to respawn. And then when coins are placed on water and taken by somebody, it'll shorten the time until coins reappear. So now, stuff respawns faster, which is nice. And then there's a bunch of other, like, bug fixes and whatnot that they made. I'm not going to go over all those, but, it's good that they're doing bug fixes still. It amazes me that we are 6 months from Mario Kart World's release date, and we still don't have DLC. Because, like, Mario Kart, like, I understand, like, okay, well, Odyssey didn't have DLC. Like, not every Mario game is going to have DLC. Okay, Odyssey kind of had DLC, but not in, like, a, substantial way. I understand not every Mario game is going to have DLC. But Mario Kart World is a big game. Mario Kart 8 had DLC on the Wii U, plus a second bit of DLC. There is so much room for DLC in Mario Kart World. And even if it's just costumes. Like, even if it had just been like, oh, here's some Donkey Kong and Pauline costumes. Plus we're adding in, young Pauline as a character. It amazes me that we have gotten none of that. Like, by this point, we definitely should have had something. And it kind of makes me worried. Because, like, I think of, like, Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom didn't have DLC. They never planned to do DLC for that game. But they didn't tell us until, like, a year out. Okay, it was probably closer to 6 months, but still. Meanwhile, Kirby comes out, and it's just, before launch even happened, they're like, no, we're not doing DLC. We put everything into this game, and we're happy with it. Do I kind of wish we were? Because, in my opinion, Kirby Air Riders is missing 2 characters. Maybe 3, depending on how you rate it. They're missing Adeline and Ribbon, and they're missing Elflin. It really surprises me that those 2 characters are not in this game. I would gladly trade Rocky or Scarfy or normal Waddle Dee for Adeline and Elflin. They should be in this game. But whatever. Not my boy Starman. My boy Starman stays. I saw a post the other day that, there's that meme of like, oh, it's like, I don't have a second. I don't counterplay. I only play my main. And if I can't win with my main, then I don't win. I saw that, it's, Ratatouille. But I saw that for Starman, and it was like, I play Starman. I only get Glide. If I can't get Glide in a gliding arena, then I don't win. And yep, that's totally accurate. If I don't get gliding stuff as Starman, I don't win. And even still, if somebody gets a Dragoon, then I'm completely fucked. Oh my gosh. Also, you know what another character I would have wanted? I would have wanted Dark Matter. Not 02, but like the Dark Matter with the sword and the visor. That's another character I would have wanted. I know Dark Matter has only ever appeared in like 3 games. But still, I would have liked to have seen Dark Matter. Because I know we got 02, and 02 is cool. Yeah, everybody loves 02. But I would have liked to have seen Dark Matter. Yeah, whatever. Alright, let's talk about our last story, Netflix. So, Netflix... So, a while ago, Warner Brothers Discovery put out a thing that was like, hey, we're opening ourselves up to offers for another company to acquire them. And at the time, there was a lot of rumors like, oh, is it going to be Paramount? Is it going to be Netflix? Netflix seemed like it was the big one, but I also knew Paramount was in the play. Universal might have been in the play. The one I never saw was Disney, which, to be fair, I think that's for the best. The idea of Disney owning both Marvel and, like, Netflix might be bad here. I think Disney would have been worse. But yeah, so these have been rumors for the past, like, month. That's, you know, there's been a lot of talk about someone acquiring Warner Brothers. And today / last night, a deal was finally made that Netflix is going to acquire Warner Brothers for $82.7 billion. Now, I do want to make clear that this deal is not 100% yet. It does not go through fully until Q3 of 2026, and they cannot immediately make the buyout because they still have to go through the US government's antitrust suits, as well as, you know, other countries as well. But like this is such a big deal that the government has to approve of this deal. Now, normally, I would say, oh, you know, this would make Netflix, you know, much closer to a monopoly. There's no way this deal would ever go through. No, any rational world, that would be true. But you gotta remember who's the president. You gotta remember the whole Skydance thing that just happened, where Paramount, you know, they fired Jimmy Kimmel, Fallon, one of them, and Stephen Colbert over, you know, what they were saying because they wanted to merge with Skydance. To get this deal through, all Netflix has to do is send somebody to suck Donald Trump's dick, and he'll make sure the deal happens. That's kind of how current politics work, is you just have to suck off the president and, you know, give him dicks. You just have to give the president gifts and tell him how big his penis is, and he'll just do whatever you ask. So yes, in a sane world, this deal would never happen. But we live in Donald Trump's America. And as long as you tell him he has a big penis, you can do whatever the fuck you want. I mean, I don't know if you've been reading the stories, but Jacob Wall and Jack Berkman are back in the news, specifically because they started a company that you give them a bunch of money and they will lobby the president to get you a pardon. That is the current country we live in, where you get convicted of a crime and then you pay people to get the president to pardon you. Because if you can make your crime look like it was politically motivated, then the president will just give you a pardon. Because we live in hell. So what else? So what does this mean for Netflix? Well, this will give Netflix, you know, everything Warner Brothers under the sun. Not everything, but like a good majority of it. You know, they'll get DC Comics. They'll get Harry Potter. They get Game of Thrones, the TV show. They get HBO. So, you know, your Sopranos, your Curb Your Enthusiasms. They get all of that. Plus more. Plus so much more. They also, this is still a gaming show, kind of. They do also get Warner Brothers video game division. Warner Brothers has a very divisive video game division. They've made some really good games, but they've also made some shit. So this would give them NetherRealms. Mortal Kombat is owned by Warner Brothers. Netflix would have that. They get Rocksteady. Rocksteady, you know, they made the Batman games. Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, all of those. They get Avalanche Games, who I think of as the developers of Just Cause. But recently they did the Harry Potter game. I could give less of a shit about that one. They get TT Games, who, if you don't know, are the developers of the Lego games. They get basically anything Atari made after the video game crash of like 1983. So they have a bunch of Atari stuff. Is that Atari stuff any good? I don't know. But they have it. They also get the Nemesis system. Because if you don't know, the Nemesis system is owned by Warner Brothers, and that's why even though there are tons of other games that could totally benefit from the Nemesis system, and Warner Brothers hasn't used it in fucking almost 10 years now, it's probably closer to like 7 or 8. Yeah, they'll own that. Admittedly, they were making a Wonder Woman game with the Nemesis system, and then they fucking canceled it. So yeah, this gives them access to the Nemesis system. Maybe Netflix will license it out. That would be nice. I don't know. But there's your video game portion of this. There it is. So Netflix did, put out a thing where they were like, okay, let's make some commitments. They said they're committed to still releasing movies in theaters. What does that mean? We have no fucking idea. Netflix actually put a movie out in theaters this week. That being Knives Out 3, Wake Up Dead Man. And that movie is in theaters for 2 weeks before going to streaming on Netflix on like the 10th or the 11th or something. So I could totally see, Netflix says we're committed to still putting movies in theaters. And what they mean by that is they'll put movies in theaters for 2 weeks before they just give them, just before they put it on their streaming service. I could reasonably see that. That's totally something Netflix would do. Netflix also says that they're going to keep HBO Max around. That, because I would expect them to just shut down HBO Max and put all that on Netflix. At least for the moment, they're committed to keeping HBO Max around, but they will also be adding Warner Brothers content to Netflix. So, maybe it'll be like a slow migration over. I'm not entirely sure. So, if it isn't obvious, I don't agree with this merger. I think companies are way too big as is. I definitely feel like a lot, especially Disney, should be broken up. Disney is way too big, and the film part, the theme park part, they should all be broken up into different companies at this point. Disney has gotten too big, and by extension, so has everybody else. 100 years ago, the government came in and they broke up all these monopolies. And over the past 100 years, the monopolies have slowly reformed themselves. And now the government wants to do fucking nothing. Because guess what? These monopolies just lobby the government and they can do whatever the fuck they want and the government's not going to do anything to stop them. So, yeah, we're just fucked. We're just completely fucked. That joke about Apple, Disney, Netflix, Max is just coming true. Also, I want to say Ted Lasso is owned by Warner Brothers. Yeah, it's on Apple TV, but it's published through them. It was made by Warner Brothers, which is not something Netflix does. Other studios will be like, yeah, we have HBO Max, but we'll make stuff for other streaming services. Yeah, no, Netflix doesn't do that. This could always be a first, but I kind of doubt it. But no, I don't think this deal should go through. It is, because, they're going to suck the right people's dicks, but I don't think this should go through. Speaking of sucking the president's dick, I have not watched South Park in a month. I did not see the last episode. I did not see the Turkey Trot episode, and I did not see the one before that. It's not that South Park is bad. I just haven't cared. This season it's got some good jokes. It's had its moments, but for the most part, I just haven't cared. So that, yeah, that hasn't been on anything for a while. So I think we gotta jump from here over there, because I tried to use the coin and that didn't work. I don't know. I guess this takes us to WIBE. So what have I been doing? We got 2 food things. One I had earlier in the week, one I had earlier today. We'll talk about both of them. And then we have 2 movies. I said, last week I tried to see the new Knives Out, but my theater was completely packed. I did eventually find a slightly less crowded theater, and so I did see that. Because the weird thing with Knives Out, I have not seen a single piece of marketing for this movie. None whatsoever. And yet, this has been the most packed theater I have seen in a long time. It took me like 3 days to get to a showing, because, I can only go after work. And every time I went to see it after work, the one showing in the afternoon was completely sold out. And yeah, so it took me until I originally wanted to go see it on a Friday. It took me until Monday to go see it. Just because every showing was filled. And even though... Oh, that was weird. Even the one I did eventually get to. I've never seen that before. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, I've never seen that. I was gonna say, is it not there? No, it's there. Huh, weird. So yeah, the eventual Knives Out showing I did eventually get around to see was still pretty full. So I don't know, because again, I'd never seen an ad for this movie. And yet, yeah, Wake Up Dead Man was just sold out everywhere. I know it was only playing at select theaters, at select times. Still. And then the other one I did see was Five Nights at Freddy's, which was less full. It still was a pretty busy theater, but it was definitely less full. So we will talk about that shit show. And there we go. Should I go get some water? No, I shouldn't. I do kind of need to pee, though. And now would be a perfect time to go do that. Alright, give me a minute. I'm gonna go get some water. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go pee. Alright, let me get that. Alright, here we are. We got one more to do in this world. I actually thought we had done all of them in this world. Ugh. So, did I talk about... So, we've got two food things. Burger King and McDonald's. Each have a thing. And then we got two movies. We got Wake Up Dead Man, which is a Knives Out murder mystery. You know, the third Knives Out from Rian Johnson. And then we got FNAF 2. So, let's just get into it, shall we? So, about a year ago now, maybe a little less than that, Wendy's. About a year ago, Wendy's did a SpongeBob meal. And at the time, everyone was super disappointed. Because Wendy's SpongeBob meal was a Dave's single with a special sauce. Their Krabby Patty secret sauce. It was a pineapple frosty and just normal fries. No theming, no special packaging. It was just a Dave single with a special sauce. People were underwhelmed, to say the least. So this time, you know, you give the same assignment to Burger King, and they fucking stand and deliver. Burger King, you know, I agree with Queso. Burger King does not always hit, but when it does hit, it's pretty good. But, you know, Burger King knows how to stand and deliver. They'll do the colored patties. They'll do the square buns. They'll go all out. They're Burger King. They know what the fuck they're doing. And the SpongeBob meal did not disappoint. So, let me pull it up here. Ooh. Oh, where? Oh, it's already running low. Okay. I opened up their app to be like, hey, show me what was in the SpongeBob meal. And their app is like, we're running low. So we're not going to show you what's in it. Fuck. Give me a second. So the first thing is there is like, I'm going to call it a SpongeBob Whopper for lack of a better term. It's a Whopper. Just a normal Whopper. They didn't do a special sauce, but it's got a yellow bun and a square. It's at least a square bottom bun. It's technically a square top bun, but you know, it's yellow. That's the big thing. They did a yellow thing, and you know what? That's kind of nice. I like, because here's the thing. If you don't know about Burger King, you know how everyone's like freaking out about like Red 40 and that stuff? Years ago, Burger King set out and made a thing that like, hey, we're not going to use any artificial dyes. Everything we do is going to be organic. Like when they make a burger red, they use beetroots to make red dye. Same thing if they make something orange, if they make something, you know, green, they use all organic ingredients. And when they make it yellow, same thing. I actually kind of respect Burger King on that front. And like, they don't like brag about it or anything. It's just kind of something they did. And it's, I don't know, it's neat. Of course, it's less special now that, you know, most places are getting rid of it. But still. So yeah, it's SpongeBob's Krabby Patty Whopper. It was fine. It's a if you like a Whopper, you're gonna like it. If you don't like a Whopper, it's not gonna do anything special for you. There's Mr. Krabs' Cheesy Bacon Tots. So these are, you know, Burger King does like cheesy tots, where it's like a tot, but it's kind of like stuffed. This one is stuffed with cheese and bacon. They're fine. They very much remind me of like breakfast. Like if you had these cheesy tots with breakfast, yeah, it's kind of got the, because in my opinion, there's two types of bacon. There's like burger bacon and there's breakfast bacon. Breakfast bacon is good with breakfast. Burger bacon goes on, you know, basically anything else. Burgers, you know, mac and cheese. This bacon definitely feels more like breakfast bacon, but it was good. I actually do enjoy these tots. I would actually probably get them again. There was a Patrick Starberry Pie. So it's Patrick, you know, maybe it was Patrick Starberry Shortcake. It was something along those lines. But it's a Patrick themed, it's a pink pie with little rainbow sprinkles on it. It was not bad. Here's the thing. I'm mildly allergic to strawberry. Not that I can't eat it, it just kind of makes me a little crazy. So, like, on that aspect, I was like, whatever. But I tried it anyways. It was fine. I guess if you can find it, you might enjoy it. But yeah, it seems to be, you know, running a little low. And then the last one, it was, I don't know the name of it. It's probably like Squidward's, like, pineapple shake or something like that. Squidward's pineapple freeze. It's basically, it's one of their, like, freezes. So, like, Burger King and a lot of other places do, like, oh, here's our, like, frozen Coke. Imagine, like, a frozen Coke or, like, a frozen Fanta or something like that. But it's pineapple flavored. And here's the thing. I don't hate pineapple sodas, but I will never go out of my way to get a pineapple soda. Pineapple sodas just, like, I in theory like the idea. I like pineapple. But pineapple sodas, some people really like them. I'm not one of them. I think they're okay. Like Mountain Dew does a pineapple Mountain Dew. I think it was called like Maui Burst or something like that. I didn't really care for it. This Burger King pineapple, you know, frozen thing, and it comes with like whipped topping, which it's not whipped cream. It's whipped topping. It's like thicker than a whipped cream. I don't know. I know other like coffee places do similar toppings. But this pineapple was surprisingly good. Out of everything, this might have been the one I was the most impressed with. Out of everything, this pineapple freeze, as someone who, again, neutral on pineapple sodas, this is maybe the best pineapple soda I've ever had. I thought it was great. Maybe it was because it was cold. I guess that's the Dole Whip effect, because that's basically what Dole Whip is. It was really good. I genuinely enjoyed it and would recommend it. So I guess at least on that aspect, Burger King did definitely succeed. So yeah, compared to Wendy's, Burger King knocked it out of the park. It's still Burger King at the end of the day. You know, they've still got their flaws. But all things considered, I think they did a good job. Of course, we can talk about the whole Hillenburg aspect, that he didn't want, you know, SpongeBob fast food burgers. I totally get that. And, you know, the quote that, you know, SpongeBob died on that hill when Hillenburg died, still very much accurate. But at least this one shows a modicum of care. You know, compared to the last time we did this, which was, again, we definitely did talk about it on this show. This one was a lot better. This one I enjoyed a lot more. So yeah, you know, if you can find it, and if you're okay, like if you like Burger King, yeah. But if you're not a big Burger King guy, I don't think this is going to change your mind. Will you at least let me see what the menu items are? I cannot, that can't, by the way, it's sold out. Today is December 5th. This came out December 2nd. It has been like 3 days. I guess I'm glad I got this one before the McDonald's one. Because the McDonald's one... Well, actually, let's talk about that. So, McDonald's did their holiday menu item the same day as Burger King. They released a Happy Meal with, like, Disney collectibles in it. That's the one I bet is selling out everywheres. You know, people go crazy for Disney. When I went to McDonald's earlier today, they were so fucking busy. And my guess would be these things, these Happy Meal, or these Happy Meals, because they're doing Disney figures, but because it's Disneyland's 70th anniversary, there are 70 of them. Collector's nightmare. But yeah, that would be my guess. I should say I tried twice to get this. When I got off work, I was like, oh, you know, I'll swing on the McDonald's on my way back, and I'll just get it. As I'm sitting in the drive-thru, really busy, by the way, their computer systems crashed. And they were just like, yeah, just cancel the order. You know, we can't... Like, my order could have been done for all I know. Because I ordered, you know, I placed, like, a mobile order. No, I just went home. So I went home, and then, again, like a few hours later, right before we started streaming... I tried again, because I did say we were going to talk about this last week. And yeah, I was able to get it the second time. I went to a different location as well. So this was harder to get, but also less worth it. So this is McDonald's Grinch meal. I don't know what it is, but for some reason... People are just obsessed with the Grinch nowadays. I don't know, like, I know people like that Jim Carrey movie. I haven't seen it in at least 15 years, if not longer. I couldn't tell you whether it holds up or not. I know the Benedict Cumberbatch one doesn't, that's for sure. The original holds up fantastic, but the Jim Carrey one, I don't know. But, because there used to be this trend that people would, like, they would get, like, a parent or a grandparent or hire somebody to be Santa and show up to kids' house and give them presents, and it would be, like, a whole thing. In the past, like, year or two, that has, like, shifted, and it's now people will hire an actor to be the Grinch and show up to their house and steal their Christmas tree, steal their presents. And I have no idea where this trend comes from. But for the last like year or two, I've read like news articles about, you know, kids being traumatized by a Grinch actor who like showed up, stole all their gifts, took a shit on their dad's desk, you know, broke their tree, just traumatizing kids. Oh, for no reason. So I don't know what the obsession with the Grinch is. But yeah, no, McDonald's is doing a Grinch meal. And so, no, it's just one of their like normal, you know, they're doing kids meal stuff, but this is like one of their like adult meals. So, you know, it instead of coming with like a toy, this one comes with like socks. So I do have a pair of socks. But it's a Whopper, a drink of your choice, and then the McShaker Grinch fries, which are pickle flavored. So if you don't know about the McShaker fries, I'd actually known about these for a while, because McShaker fries have actually been in other parts of the world. Specifically, they're big in Canada, where instead of McDonald's seasoning the fries themselves, so like we're going to do pickle flavored fries, or I know they've done like sugar ones, like I want to say they've done like cotton candy-esque fries. Instead of them flavoring the fries, they instead give you a bag, like a themed bag, and a packet of seasoning, so that way you can flavor the fries yourself. in theory, you know, it cuts down on them having to like, oh, well, now we need 2 baskets of fries, one normal and one seasoned. Instead, they can just give you the seasoning and you season them yourself because you're the one seasoning. It, you know, makes it easier on them. It, like, yes, it puts more labor on you, the consumer, but you can also choose how much seasoning you want. I understand why these are popular. It's for the same reason that I understand, like, the Wendy's Frosty Fusions are popular, because that was another thing I was big in Canada before coming to the States. Is because instead of having to reinvent the wheel, you're just taking what you already have and adding a little more. Like, yeah, we can talk about the doom and gloom of capitalism all day long, pushing more work onto the consumer. But I get it. I get why these are big. I get why they've been doing them in other regions for a long time. I'm kind of surprised they've never done them in the States before. But this is the first time they're ever doing it. These shaker fries are specifically pickle flavored. And, they're okay. I definitely would want, if they do these again, I want a different flavor. But, like, if you like pickle or salt and vinegar, you will probably love these. It's a decent amount of seasoning. So what they do, you know, you get a thing of fries, you pour it into this bag, and then you rip open a packet of seasoning, you pour it on, and then you shake it. Super simple, you know, anyone can do it. And honestly, for as simple as that sounds, I actually think it seasons the fries pretty well. Like, I would worry that I wouldn't have, like, some fries would have a lot of seasoning, some would have none. No, it actually coats pretty nicely. Everything at least had a little bit of seasoning on it. And yeah, it's dill pickle flavor. It kind of reminds, like, I had one of my roommates try it, and they said it tasted like a salt and vinegar chip. Which, yeah, I do kind of get that as well. They're okay. I'm just not a big pickle guy. I know one of my brothers is a big pickle guy. I'm sure he'd really like these. But as someone who's not, it just didn't really do it for me. The other thing is, they lift... I think this is more of a pickle thing than a fry thing. But the pickle seasoning left, like, a weird residue on my teeth. And I think, like, normal, like, pickle, like, if I get, like, salt and vinegar potato chips, it leaves that same sort of, like, feeling on your teeth, where it's like you've been, like, dried out a little bit. Same thing on, like, my lips. It left, like, that weird, like, texture, that weird flavor on my lips, where it's like, oh, yeah, you've been consuming a lot of salt. They're really dried out. They're a little squeaky, for lack of a better word. For lack of a better descriptor. They're just not for me. Give me a better flavor, and then we'll talk. But if these do prove successful, then yeah, they will definitely do these shaker fries again. Again, they're big in Canada, from what I hear. But, you know, I had to try it. I did. Yeah, because I know that's the last food thing we'll talk about this year. But that's one of the big ones. And those are two of the big ones. I'm just surprised that Burger is already sold out. To be fair, Burger King was also busy, but not nearly. That McDonald's was fucking busy. And the worst part is, it broke, like, right... The first one I went to broke, like, maybe the car in front of me. Like, I had already been there for, like... Not 10 minutes, probably like somewhere between like 5 and 10 minutes. And then right as I'm pulling up to the front of the line, that's when it breaks. And the second one I went to was just also super busy. Yeah, so those are my 2 foodstuffs this week. They're both fine foodstuffs. So let's talk movies. So Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, is the 3rd in the Knives Out series. If you don't know, if you've never seen one of these, they're a series of movies. Each one is a different mystery with a different main character, but they follow Benoit Blanc, who is a Cajun detective played by Daniel Craig, who is just one of the most likable characters. Like Daniel Craig, guy famous for playing James Bond, fucking hates playing James Bond. You listen to him talk about playing James Bond, and he's just miserable. Then you listen to him talk about playing Benoit Blanc, and he just loves it. He says he'll do 1,000 of these, where he'll kill himself before he ever plays James Bond again. And watching these movies, I get it. He loves this character. He loves being this character. I'd like to hope the director, Rian Johnson, you most likely know him for making that one Star Wars movie that is one of the most divisive movies of all time, in my opinion. These are probably his second most famous stuff. And I would say they're some of his best stuff. But I love these movies to death. I enjoy them every time. And as long as they keep making them, I will keep watching them. Daniel Craig is so good. Rian Johnson is so good. There are certain tropes and ideas that, are common of detective stories, but specifically shine in Knives Out movies that this one preserves and just does really well. And I loved it. I loved this movie. This is one of my highlights of the year. Is this better than the first or second one? I'll say it's better than the second one. I do not think I would go as far as to say it's better than the first one. The first one just had a certain vibe that might be impossible to recapture, but this one gets close. This one if the first one was about rich people, this one is about religious people. And so I feel like from that angle, it does a really good job at capturing the same sentiment. To be fair, the second one was also about rich people, but it was a different kind of rich people. The first one is about old school rich. The second one is about new school rich. So I don't want to spoil the third one too much, because again, it is a mystery and part of the fun is the mystery. But I am going to spoil the first two right now. So if you have not seen Knives Out 1 or 2, I recommend going to watch them. Second one's on Netflix. First one, I think, is on Prime. It's on one of the streaming services. They're both totally worth it. I know some people are lower on the second one. I get it, but I enjoy the second one as well. And definitely go. The third one is in theaters for only 2 weeks. After that, it comes to Netflix on like the 10th, the 11th, or the 12th. So basically this time next week, it'll be on Netflix. If you do not see it in theaters, which it's a good theater experience, you definitely watch it on Netflix. It is totally worth it. This is a fantastic movie. Quick score, like a 9 out of 10. It's good. It's good. It's entertaining. In some ways, it kind of feels a little bit slower than like the first one, but I still think this is compared to the second one. This one gets a lot closer to the first one. This one is very much trying to be the first one, which I know some people may see as a bad thing. It's not. It is not at all. So besides for Benoit Blanc, who is just such a good character, the other thing I like about the Knives Out movies is the twist. In the first two movies, about 35-40 minutes into the movie, there's usually some sort of twist that makes you recontextualize the whole movie. In the first one, there are two of them. The first twist is that the main character cannot lie. A good twist. It definitely adds some complications to things. The second twist, though, is the fact that the main character did murder the guy. She did commit the murder, and he knows. That's a good twist. That blew me away the first time I saw it. Because there's still like an hour plus left in that movie. The second movie, on the other hand, it only has one big twist. Well, outside of, the final end reveal thing. Which that's another, all these movies have great moments where at the end, Benoit comes out and he reveals everything that happened and how it worked. And in the third one, they even make a comment about it. Like, oh, you know, we're going to investigate the crime scene. We're going to investigate the body. I'll figure out the solution and I'll do a whole speech at the end. It'll be great. You'll love to see it. He tells that to either, I think the main character was Josh or Mila Kunis' character. He tells it to one of them and that was good. But no, in the second one, the twist, about 40 minutes into the movie, it's that the girl we've been following is not who she says she is, but instead her twin sister. That the person we think we know has actually been dead. And it's the twin sister hired Benoit Blanc to find her sister's murderer. And in order to uncover the truth, she's been pretending to be her twin sister. And then it replays big chunks of the movie, but now framed in this completely new context. And it's so good. People see Knives Out 2 as the weaker one. And I will agree, between all three, it is the weakest. But it is in no way a bad movie. I think that twist is fantastic. The ending is also great. The big ending monologue. The actual metaphor of the glass onion, I think, is a really good metaphor. Especially because, you know, I made the comment a few weeks ago about how at what point does it become demoralizing when every movie you are the villain? Like, at what point will Elon Musk realize, like, oh, this is the 7th movie where I've been the main antagonist. Maybe I am the bad guy. Because at least 3 times this year, Elon Musk has been the main villain. And yeah, and the main villain of Knives Out 2 is just Elon Musk. Just is. But no, I like the metaphor of the glass onion. I like the big ending speech. I like how the ending is just the one day you will be forgotten, so you have one goal in life, be remembered. And how do you be remembered? You eat the Mona Lisa. That's great. That's a great ending to that movie. I'm quoting I think it's it was originally a 4chan post, and then I think it was a Tumblr post. That's what I'm quoting with the whole be remembered, eat the Mona Lisa thing. But yeah, the first 2 Knives Out are great. This third one, right, if the first one is about old school money, and the second one is about new school money, this third one is about religion. And especially looking at, you know, the Knives Out movies have always been political. Like I said, the villain of the second one is Elon Musk. In this third one, they look at, you know, political grifters. They look at cancel culture in Republicans. All these movies have had something to do with Republicans. You know, Republicans are the bad guy of every Knives Out movie. They're the villain in real life, of course they are. And he's not subtle about it either. That's another great thing. So in this one, the movie follows... Oh, God. I want to say the main character's name is Josh. I'm going to look up the cast real quick. Judd. Okay, it's Judd. He's played by actor Josh O'Connor. So Judd is a priest who has recently been assigned to a new parish, working for Magistrate Jefferson. And him and Jefferson, you know, they have some issues. They don't agree with each other. These movies are also funny. There's a whole bit with where Jefferson keeps going for confession, and just the shit that happens at that. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, so Judd and Jefferson do not like each other. You know, Jefferson sees Judd as trying to take over his parish, Whereas Judd, you know, he was a boxer, he has a troubled past, he found God, and now he's just trying to do good. And along the way, you know, he learns about all the locals at the church. You know, you have, let's see, you have Simone, Lee, Dr. Nate, Geraldine, Martha, who works at the church, her husband, the groundskeeper, who is Samson. You got Cy, who is Vera's son, adopted son. So you've got all these main characters. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in this movie? I might have missed that. I don't remember. I don't remember. Levitt. Who the fuck was Levitt? I know Mila Kunis is the cop. Yeah, Geraldine. So you've got all these regulars at the church, and then the mystery is set up that all of a sudden the magistrate Jefferson dies. And, you know, everyone's blaming Judd, but Judd claims his innocence. And then Benoit Blanc shows up, played by Daniel Craig, to solve the mystery. How did the magistrate get murdered, and who was it? And yeah, that's basically all I can say. Anything else after that's a spoiler. And I even kind of gave a spoiler. You know, there's a bunch of different characters. Which one of them did it? Who did certain things? The one thing I will say about this movie, so quick spoiler warning here. The one thing I will say is, with the first two Knives Out, I really like their twist. You know, 45 minutes, we get that big twist. This third one doesn't really have that. Like, the movie starts off with this framing that Judd is writing this letter. Or he's writing his story down. He's basically rewriting the events of the movie to Blanc to help explain what's going on. And when that happened, I was like, oh, this is where the twist is going to come in. At first, I thought the twist was that, no, he actually did it. Like, I thought, no, kind of like the first movie, Judd was guilty. And that's not entirely... Like, there are still some twists, but it doesn't go in that direction. But what it lacks in a middle of the movie twist, it makes up for with an ending twist. The ending twists and the ending reveals are so good, they make everything worth it. The ending of this movie is so good, and everything just makes so much sense once it's all explained. I really enjoyed it. So yes, I do highly recommend Knives Out 3, or Wake Up Dead Man. It is a really good movie with a great cast, a bunch of great actors, a great mystery. Easiest recommendation. Again, go see it in theaters if you can, but if you want to wait, which I totally understand, you can see it on Netflix. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Do I want to talk spoilers? I guess not. It's better the less you know. Part of me thinks that the reason why this movie had so few trailers is because the less you know, the better. Honestly, just knowing the name, Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, is probably all you need to know. I feel like the movie does a good job at explaining everything else, that you don't really need anything else. And I'm kind of glad. I think the only trailer I ever saw was one I looked up. And I'm kind of glad that was the only thing I ever saw. So yeah, go see Knives Out 3, Wake Up Dead Man. It's really good. It's definitely a highlight of the year for me. And this year has had a lot of great movies. But it's also had some pretty shite movies, if we're just being honest. Let's talk about FNAF 3. FNAF 2, I mean. Let's talk about Five Nights at Freddy's 2. If I haven't made it obvious, I think this movie is garbage. I think this movie fucking sucks. If you are a fan of FNAF, much like the first one, you will have a good time. There's a lot of good callbacks, a lot of good references, a lot of fan service here. If you are a fan of FNAF, the ideas of FNAF, if you're one of those people who's like, hey, I know that reference, and that's enough for you, you will have a great time with this movie. If you are not that kind of person, if you do not give a shit about Five Nights at Freddy's, this movie fucking sucks. Do not watch it. Take your kids to see it, because they'll get the references and they'll have a good time. Because, yes, it's a horror movie. It's not scary at all. I'm not a horror movie guy. I do not do horror movies. FNAF 2 is, like, I listened to Josh Hutcherson do, like, an interview where he was like, the one problem with the first movie was that it wasn't scary enough. We fixed that in the second one. Having seen FNAF 2, that was a fucking lie. Maybe I am just completely desensitized to these movies because I've played, you know, the main 6 games plus. But no, this movie was not scary at all. I did not, like, at least in the first one, I think I got jump scared like once or twice. I didn't even get fucking jump scared in this movie. Sure, there is some creepy imagery. They do some shit with the puppet where I was like, oh, that's kind of freaky. But no, FNAF 2 was not scary at all. It's kind, like, if you go in expecting a scary movie, you will be insulted. If you go in expecting, you know, a good story, good characters, anything except for, you know, video game references that you won't get unless you're a fan of the video game, you will be thoroughly disappointed. This is not a good movie. Is it worse than the first one? Probably. Like, the first one wasn't great either. Here's the thing. I think when it comes to, like, actual movie, this one is worse than the first one. But when it comes to being, oh, hey, video game reference, I think this one is better than the second one. Or the first one, I mean. When it comes to, like, oh, look at that video game reference, I think this one's better than the first one, but video game reference does not make a movie good. I saw, was it Zero Wolf? Someone on TikTok I saw made the comparison between Doug Walker and Quentin Tarantino. That, like, because there's this old quote that's like, Doug Walker is an inherently uncurious person whose entire sense of, you know, curiosity is behind, wouldn't it be cool if Mario and Godzilla met? That's kind of these movies. It's like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if Five Nights at Freddy? Look, it's the character from the video game. Isn't that all the movie needs, is to be, hey, look, video game. Who gives a shit about the story or the characters? Hey, guess what? Scott is the only writer on this one. And should he have definitely hired someone who actually knows how to write, I don't know, believable characters or fucking something? Yes, he should have. But this is what we got. Sure, is the acting, you know, oh god, the kid actor is awful. I don't want to offend the kid actor who plays Abby, but she gives some of the Stranger Things kids a run for their money. I'll say that much. Josh Hutcherson's okay. The one who plays Vanessa is whatever. I like Matthew Lillard in these movies. But yeah, the kid character is like the emotional crux of the movie, and sometimes she's fine, sometimes she's fucking unbearable. These movies are just a fucking mess. But with all that aside, I still had a fun time. This movie sucks. I still kind of had a good time with it. I guess I'll put it like this. The Minecraft movie that came out earlier this year had very similar problems. It was also a, hey, you know, we've got poorly written characters, a poorly written plot, but hey, it's the Thing from the video game. Don't you like the Thing from the video game? The difference is, I feel like there's a certain level of care and passion put into the FNAF movies that just wasn't in the Minecraft movie. So, like, gun to my head, if you told me you had to watch either the Minecraft movie or Five Nights at Freddy's 2 again, even though the Minecraft movie is a better movie, I would pick the FNAF movie, because I at least had more fun with Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I could sit through another viewing of Five Nights at Freddy's 2, where I don't think I ever want to see the Minecraft movie again. Which, the ironic thing is, if you watch some of the behind-the-scenes stuff about the Minecraft movie, people actually did care. There were people who gave a shit working on the Minecraft movie. And yet, none of that passion is actually felt watching the movie. Whereas FNAF, same thing. There are people working on these movies who actually give a shit. They got Jim Henson's Creature Workshop to work on these. The puppetry is fantastic. The animatronic suits look perfect, in my opinion. And you can feel it. Whereas the Minecraft had a level of care that you just get none of that in the actual movie. So, I'm gonna go spoilers for this FNAF movie. It doesn't fucking matter. I'll be honest, I don't remember everything about the... There are part of me that's like, oh yeah, you know, the original movie... There's a part of me that's like, this one I like more, just because there's a lot of shit in the original movie where it's like, oh god, this is so slow. Hey Mike, you're talking about your dream again. Wow, I don't care. Get to the killer robots. Oh wait, they're also kind of boring and they're building pillow forts. There's less of that in this movie, like that shit. But what they replace it with isn't great either. Some of it is. There are moments where I'm like, okay, I get what's going on here. Specifically the villain. The first one, not the second one. Kind of. Their motivation, I think, is actually... Like, their plan, I don't actually think is terrible. Their motivation, I actually think that some of that stuff kind of works. But the movie is just so messy. If I had to give FNAF 2 a rating out of 10, as an actual movie, it's probably closer to like a 3. As a Five Nights at Freddy's fan, I'd be generous and give it like a 5. Let's say a 5. But if you're not a FNAF fan, you are not going... I'm sure if you're a FNAF fan, you're actually going to love this. But if you're not... Unless you're one of those guys. We'll talk about some of the changes they make here in this... Because I'm going to go spoilers on this one. But there were moments where I was just like, what the fuck? And then the end. This movie doesn't have a conclusion. It just... I mean, yes, there is an ending, but it just kind of stops. Because clearly they're doing a third one. They very obviously are setting up a third one. They're gonna do FNAF 3. And because of that, in certain ways, this movie kind of feels like incomplete. Like Wicked did a better job at ending its first part than this one does. This one just kind of stops. That's another problem with it. But yeah, for every moment where I was like, yeah, I'm having a good time, there was at least one moment where I was like, what the fuck? This is so fucking stupid. Oh my gosh. So, I'm just gonna go full spoilers. So, things I do not mind some of the changes they do in this movies. When I say those people will not like those FNAF purists will not like this movie, what I mean by that is there are certain people who will not like this movie because they change who's good and who's bad. Because in the games, Elizabeth is a villain, but Michael, her brother, is a hero. Charlotte, the puppet, is also more or less a hero, you know. In the movies, it's the opposite. Vanessa is a hero, or at least she's trying to make up for the sins of her father. Meanwhile, Michael and Charlotte are the villains of this one. Because Michael Afton is in this movie. He's not scooped, though. He's just Vanessa's brother. And kind of like how, you know, in FNAF 6, Baby makes a comment about like, oh, father, be proud of me. I'm continuing on the family legacy. Michael is doing that in this movie. That's Michael Afton's whole thing in this movie, is that he's like, oh, you know, we're Aftons. We've got to continue our family's legacy. Because they introduce Michael early-ish on into the movie. He has the one scene with the ghost hunters, probably like 20 minutes in. And then he disappears until the last like 5 minutes, where he's like, surprise, surprise, Vanessa, I'm back. You'll always be William Afton's son. Vanessa tells him to fuck off. They hit him over the head, and then the movie kind of ends with Mike telling Vanessa to fuck off. That, you know, her family has caused his family nothing but trauma. And while, you know, he likes Vanessa, you know, they go on a date, kind of. At the end of the day, you know, all the problems in his life have been caused by the Aftons. I get it. So, the ending, that's fucking stupid. And then after that, so Mike leaves. We don't know what happened to Michael. Which, okay, in the games, Mike Schmidt and Michael Afton eventually became the same person. By sister location, they were the same person. In the movies, they're two different people. But again, I'm fine with changes to the continuity. I don't think it actually matters that much. But then the movie just ends, you know, so Michael gets laid out, Mike and Abby leave, they leave Vanessa alone in the house, and then she gets possessed by the puppet and the movie just fucking ends. Like, she gets possessed, because one of the puppet can possess people. She possesses this ghost hunter girl, played by McKenna Grace. She possesses Abby, and then she possesses Vanessa at the very end. And the movie ends with that, because clearly they're setting up a next one. When the puppet is stopped, because, okay, there was a meme for a while about how the second FNAF movie was going to have the animatronics from the first game fight the animatronics from the second game in like an Infinity War style battle. That's exactly what happens. You know how like the Minecraft movie did like the first we mine, then we craft. We are Minecraft. And like a lot of people made fun of the FNAF movie for, you know, potentially doing that. And then the FNAF movie didn't do that, but the Minecraft movie did. And it's like, oh yeah, this movie's dog shit. The meme for the second FNAF movie was having the animatronics fight each other. And guess what? They do fight each other. There was a moment where Michael is like, Vanessa, you go to the house and check on Abby. I have a plan. And he heads back to the location from the first movie and is like, if you guys really care about Abby like you always said, then you'll come back and save her. Because if you don't, Charlotte's gonna kill her. And I was just like, fuck off, movie. This is so fucking stupid. So yeah, immediately like, oh my god, they're really doing that. What a fucking mess. Okay, so negatives. Things I did like. What about positive? Things I did like. So Charlotte is the main antagonist. The movie opens up with her being murdered by William Afton. And I do like when they eventually get around to her motivation. Because, you know, she became a ghost haunting the puppet. And I like how they explain that, no, when, you know, Vanessa... Because Charlotte and Vanessa are both, you know, William and Henry's daughters. They grew up in the pizzeria together. They were friends. And once Charlotte died, because in the game, Charlotte's like 2 or 3 when she dies. In the movie, they're both the same age. But Vanessa could see Charlotte's ghost and was like, oh yeah, Charlotte wasn't mad at my dad for killing her. She was mad at all the adults for ignoring her. Because right before Charlotte gets killed, she tries to like tries to like tell an adult, and they don't listen to her. So I kind of get that motivation. I also get her plan. You know, she wants to break out of the building. So she's pretending to be the animatronics from the first movie, because the puppet can control all the animatronics. So she's pretending to be, because, you know, Abby misses her friends. And so eventually she gets a call from the puppet who's like, hey, come to the original location, the FNAF 2 location, and your friends will be there. And the puppet pretends to be her friends and help her out. But she's just pretending to get herself out of the building. I actually think that's a decent plan. I think her motivations are decent, her plan is decent, but it's just the movie's such a mess that it just doesn't really work. The movie is PG-13, so, you know, all the violence, all the kills are very tame. Like, there's this one robotics teacher at the kid's school who gets his head squeezed in, and it's just so underwhelming. Like, I want blood. Give me some. I kind of wish more people had gotten killed in this movie, because, like, Charlotte's whole plan is to go to this Charlotte/Michael's, like, Michael creates this whole Faz Fest to try to lure in a bunch of people so that way Charlotte can kill them all. And then like one person dies. Like, fucking actually give me some murder. I would have actually wanted that. Because again, this movie is not scary at all. Killian Goff does fine as Freddy. Matt Pat does fine as Toy Bonnie. You could not even, if you didn't tell me that was Matt Pat, I wouldn't be able to tell. They get like 1 line each. The one I do like, Megan Fox, I actually think is pretty good as Toy Chica. She's got a lot more of a speaking role. I actually feel like she does a decent job. What else? So this closest thing this movie gets to an actual scare is the puppet can possess people. When the puppet like possesses people, it gives them like a puppet mask, and it like makes their limbs all like wiggly jiggly. And some of those scenes can be a little creepy, but I wouldn't say it's scary. Not really. If you want more Matthew Lillard as Purple Guy, because again, I think he actually does a decent job. He's got one moment, and it's a dream sequence, because, you know, he's still, for all intents and purposes, dead. And he's not Springtrap yet. He's still Purple Guy. And so he's gone, but we get a dream sequence with Vanessa. And in that dream sequence, we see Baby. So maybe, because if I had to guess for the next movie, they're just going to combine the 2nd, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 6th games. I would not be surprised if they just do all the next, because I don't think they should do more than 3 of these. At least with, like, Josh Hutcherson and Matthew Lillard. And I think the obvious thing is do FNAF 3, but work in some of the stuff from Pizzeria Simulator. Because Henry is in this movie. They never mention that Henry and William were partners, but Henry is in this movie. He gives the music box to Josh Hutcherson, Mike. And I'm kind of disappointed he didn't show up in the end, but let him show up in the next one. Let him have the speech. It'd be nice. But yeah, it's not a good movie. If you're a fan, you're gonna like it. But should we hold ourselves to a higher standard? I feel this movie's gonna make the money. They're gonna make, like, this one ends with such obvious sequel bait. They're gonna make a 3rd one. Obviously. It's probably already made its money's back. These movies are extremely cheap to make. Get an actual, like, yes, have Scott consult on them, sure, whatever. But get an actual writer for the 3rd one, please. Please. Get the kids some acting lessons. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend this movie. But if you're a FNAF fan, you're going to go see it, so who cares what I think? Again, I did not have a terrible time. There are there are movies that are equally as bad. Because here's the thing. There's a difference between being a bad movie and a boring movie. Minecraft is a boring movie. FNAF is a bad movie. But at least it's entertaining. I'll give it that. I was entertained. But if you're not a fan, you will not be entertained. You will find this movie boring. And I do not at all blame you. Minecraft wasn't super boring. It had its moments. I just can't think of a good example off the top of my head. But I guess that takes us to our outro. I don't really have anything else to say. I'm sure I do. I saw... okay, at one point in the FNAF movie, I saw Shadow Bonnie, and I was so glad I went on the internet and confirmed that that was real. I'm so glad I looked on... that I saw that, yes, I did see Shadow Bonnie. I wasn't gaslighting myself. Oh, there's a moment in the movie where Mike plays FNAF 2, and he puts on the mask and everything. I liked that. I liked them actually doing FNAF 2. That was good. But that takes us to our outro. So what's coming up in the future? Well, like I said, next week is the Game Awards, but we will not be streaming the Game Awards. I have no intention of streaming the Game Awards. Like, honestly, it is something I could do. Like, there's nothing stopping me from doing the Game Awards. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. Never mind. There is... again, I've talked about it before. On the days where the Game Awards happen, usually I go to a Christmas pageant. Because it's always, usually the first or second Thursday of the month of December. Last year it wasn't. This year it is. The year before last year, 2023, it was. 2022 it was. 2021 it was. Nothing happened during COVID. You get my point. So no, I have the Christmas pageant. I will be watching the Game Awards. Because you better believe I thought about doing can I beat Donkey Kong Bonanza before it wins Game of the Year? I 100% had that idea back in July. And I wanted to do it. Because we all know Donkey Kong's not going to win. It's going to be Expedition 33. But I'd still think I liked the Astrobot stream last year. I had a great time with Can I Beat Astrobot before it wins Game of the Year. I wanted to do that again. But, what you gonna do? So, we will be back next week, but we will be talking about, we'll talk about the Game Awards. Obviously, we're gonna play more Galaxy. There is something else we gotta talk about as well next week. Fuck. I know there was like a new game or something I was for sure going to talk about. I can't remember. I know, again, Avatar is 2 weeks. Next week, I think the big thing is just the Game Awards. There might be something else, but the only thing I know of for sure is the Game Awards. Yeah. Go see Knives Out. It'll be on streaming in the next week. That one is worth your time. FNAF, not so much. But yeah, with that, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Till next time, peace.